So my brothers and sisters, here we have the cosmic archetypes of wild man, wild woman, and all those personalities hostile to life. And I just couldn't understand it. Last night we got to the following point. The little inner child was awakened, mother's inner child. Father had come into mother's body. Remember, we spoke about how he entered the dream and became one with her, so that we no longer have only the divine feminine as the real in the cosmos. We have an infinite, a mother, father, God as real in the cosmos. My brothers and sisters, he was asleep. I checked several times yesterday if he'd woken up, and he wasn't. He was asleep. One of the things that I need to follow up today, but it's been kind of around the clock, so I haven't gotten there. But one of the things I need to follow up on today is the fact that there was programming in place where father sleeps, then mother wakes up, then mother sleeps, father wakes up. That's the old form of polarity, where one goes entirely dormant when the other one wakes up, you see. What is the new way of polarity is that both are awake, but they pulse in dominance. Now the masculine is more dominant, now the feminine. How can there be a relationship if father works at night and mother works in the day? There's no way that there's a proper relationship, you see. So I uncovered that. There's been a lingering question as to why, when mother wrote in the book, why when she put the book into both herself and father, its laws that govern their being, why that would still be there. That's one of my very key questions today. And there's some others, but they're pretty massive and they'll unveil themselves, I'm sure. So my brothers and sisters, last night, we got to the point where father was asleep, mother was awakened in the dream. The pristine, innocent little child's mind is the new way, and it's not mind, it's experiential knowing, is the way for us now to think. Instinctual mind has completely been wiped out.
That lasted about 3 days.
That lasted about 3 days, well put. Instinctual mind, which is the way we were thinking, is completely wiped out. And instead, we're now in the place of experiential knowing. How does a baby know its environment? It does not differentiate between its inner senses and its outer senses. And the inner senses are all the ripples of beautiful feeling coupled with non-cognitive knowing, which is really attitude, if you will. But all these wonderful feelings that go inside a baby, those are his inner senses. And there's hundreds of them, and there's 5 outer senses. With the baby, those are one in a field, and they pulse between inner world and outer world.
So we really crossed over a bridge with that, because when the other was in place, you said we needed to finish this piece.
Yes.
And it was going to shift, so that was...
It crossed over last night. Now, and it's interesting that you say that, because of course you alerted us to where the baby was by seeing a bridge. And I didn't interpret that, but it is the baby that is the bridge. And the baby is allowing us to bridge to experiential knowing. This is the beginning of where life began. This is where everything started from. And we were there last night. Except we couldn't get it right before. So let me tell you the exact pieces of where we were last night. That is exactly where I saw us begin from when Mother sent me back there months ago. She has sent me back multiple times. I saw that the child was by itself. I saw that the child experienced in its presence a first thought. No, it experienced a first thought. From the first thought, it fractured, causing directions and linear mind. From fracturing, a part of it went into a coma. Initially, it is the feminine that went into the coma. Later on, it became the masculine that went into a coma. It became necessary to create this artificial intelligence because life could not be lived. It was in coma. Last night, we were exactly at that place. I went, whoa, what is familiar about this? We have got a total déjà vu. Father is yet again asleep. When he wakes up, he's going to ask the first question. Is there something I don't know? That would be his first question. If you ask that first question, my brothers and sisters, is there something I don't know? It is a thought, and with that thought will come a loss of innocence. So I spent hours repeating after Mother last night into the book that at no time ever shall the infinite think that there is something outside of itself. At no time ever shall the infinite think that, and I say think, but ask. Because questions are going to be asked. We're on a journey of adventurous self-exploration, the way a little child looks at his fingers and his toes and realizes, hey, wait a minute, these are mine, because if I do this, they move. It's the same way. We're on a journey of self-exploration. There are going to be questions. But when the question starts to ask, is there something I don't know? Is there something beyond me? Is there something I can turn to for answers? All of those things had to be addressed. So it was put in the book that at no time shall the infinite wonder such things. At no time shall it pretend to be one of its toys, one of its dream children, one of its creations. At no time shall it forget its divinity or make itself less in order to learn. I mean, rows and rows and rows of things were put in the book of creation so we could get to a point where there is absolutely no chance of the father waking up and thinking that first thought that put that baby, because see, that's the mind the father would have. Because last night, the mother and the father got the pristine mind of the baby. Now, we're going to get to a really important part here, and it's the part that Karen said. My brothers and sisters, what benefit have the subpersonalities given Mother? They have, in fact, produced adverse, rebellious, trying to run the show circumstances. Now, we're back to where life began. Mother has always told me that life began with experiential knowledge. It began with matter, with exploring. That's where life began. Mother has always told me that it began from one circle, from one sphere. Around it came 6 other spheres. In sacred geometry, that's called the seed of life. How did those spheres get there? By the fracturing of the innocence. Those 6 spheres are the subpersonalities. Now, not the inner child, because the inner child's the direction of within. But if you add up all the others, there are 6. That's called the seed of life. I have said over and over that the flower of life is a broken, separate-based geometry that I tracked for Mother as the beginning of the stroke. We have never needed the subpersonalities exactly the same surprising thing we discovered yesterday. We don't need to dream. We don't need to dream. There is nothing that the mother and father don't know. They don't need to solve it. That was put in the book last night. We have started from the very beginning.